The frame drum is one of the oldest, most sacred instruments and was played predominantly by women with their bare hands. I take after her. There's just so much more. It's so much more than just about the drum. So I'll give a little presentation for you each week to bring in this really what I feel is vital information. I'm going to read Layne Redmond's quote first. This is the way that she actually described her When the Drummers Were Women workshop in the fall of 1994. So there's Layne, and I'll read a little bit of this to you because it's wonderful how she described her work and how her description of her work evolved over time because she was that kind of an artist. Rhythm is the primary structuring power of life on this planet. The rhythm of our mother's body mirrors the rhythm of life, and the first sound that we hear in her womb is the pulse of our mother's heart, which later changed to the pulse of our mother's blood, because the heart and the womb are really quite far away, and later on when she recorded the sound in the womb, it's actually bzz, 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 which is the sound of her blood pulsing through her arteries. Drumming is the musical expression of this truth and is an ancient technology for directly synchronizing the mind-body complex, accessing higher levels of awareness and releasing new manifestations of primordial energy. Drumming rouses and shapes group emotion and behavior, developing a continuous shared consciousness. By fusing the mind with rhythm through drumming, chanting, and dancing, trance-like states are induced in which conceptual mind is transcended and the intuitive, prophetic, and holistically unified aspect of consciousness is experienced. The frame drum is one of the oldest, most sacred instruments and was played predominantly by women with their bare hands. And they were often singers and dancers too. The drum, the song, and the dance was like a trio for many of these women. A powerful trance-inducing instrument, it was used in the religious rites of many goddesses, goddess cults, including Inanna, Ishtar, Cybele, Hathor, Isis, Sekhmet, Aphrodite, Demeter, and Artemis. And in her workshops, as do I, we gather in a circle, focusing on the power behind the rhythms, the pulse, to connect us to the energies of the sun, moon, stars, and earth. We learn to radiate this energy through our bodies, focusing it into rhythms, first by singing, chanting, and walking them. We did a lot of stepping, chanting, and clapping of rhythms, as do I. And I actually studied with other teachers who did that as well. So it's always been a part of my practice, and we're doing that in djembe class too. I'm the drum teacher who starts with stepping, clapping, and chanting. We then learn the relationship of the different strokes of the drum to the elements, which we will be doing as well. Earth, water, fire, and air. And I add ethers as well. Feeling, breathing, being the energy of each element as we play it. Learning to make that sound with our drums. So we're connecting to the elements, we are expressing the elements. And that was how she described it. And as we invoked those ancient women drummers, I'd like to introduce two of them to you today. This first one these are both from Layne's slideshows. I'm trying not to get too much reflection of the light or my screen. But you can see she's a woman with a frame drum. In early times, the anthropologist said that she was holding a disc, simply a disc, or the sun, or the moon, or a loaf of bread, as in that Middle Eastern, Mediterranean part of the world. As you know, loaves of bread were often, and still are often, round. There were times when anthropologists believed that women holding a round circle disc like this, they were holding a cake. But cakes are not held vertically. Maybe bread, but cakes are not held vertically. They would simply fall to the ground. So that was kind of a big joke in our community. The only thing that Layne tells us about her is that she's Greek. let me say this to you. We may see this woman holding a frame drum, and perhaps she plays it as she sings lullabies to her children. Maybe when she gathers with other women in their circles, they sing and chant and meditate with their frame drums. Maybe they actually play in a band and they perform for their communities, for their families, or maybe they even tour around and play for other communities. Maybe she's a priestess who serves the ancient goddess of her tribe, and through her drum helps to rouse community consciousness and unifies the community through the power of rhythm, through the power of song, movement, and dance. And she holds a position of spiritual authority in that community. So all of these different roles that women with frame drums played and may have played are true and inspiring. It changes our perception of a woman with a frame drum. And all of them are beautiful and powerful, whether she was singing to her children lullabies with her drum, or she was a priestess who had a position of authority in the community. All are important and relevant. The second image I'd like to share with you today is one of the muses playing her frame drum to Aphrodite. This is a close-up. And the muses were a source of inspiration. And what I love too about this frame drum and why I've chosen it today, and Layne doesn't give the date on all of her slides, unfortunately. What I love too is that you see this laurel wreath. And the laurel wreath was often a symbol of prophecy. So the oracles, who were women who would sometimes just drum themselves and sing and chant themselves and dance into some kind of ecstatic trance-like state. Sometimes they would ingest honey, the burning of incense to help alter consciousness. Sometimes there were psychotropic plant medicines that were used so that they could bring themselves into a place of such trance where they could see past, present, and future simultaneously, and would be a source of information for kings and queens, and people would travel to them for their divination, for their information. I wonder too if they were astrologers, because in those days astrologers were so important, as they were, what were they doing at night? Telling stories around the fire, singing songs, sharing the lore of their culture, and also watching the heavens and interpreting the energies of the heavenly bodies as they moved across the sky at night. So the muses and the oracles with their frame drums played a significant role in these communities as well. And I found all of these to be so inspiring. And of course, if you're not already reading Layne's book, I know that some of you have and some of you are, as you've shared that with me, I do highly recommend it.